If you got to keep this up, they're going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had that conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Because I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's going to turn out. You can.
May I take a selfie with you?
No, go ahead.
Please,
I'm in the middle of something. But go ahead. This is more important. Go ahead. Come on.
Thank you.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. So I done already had that conversation with him, man. King's a good kid, chasing after the wrong. And, you know, I trust in God to deal with it the way that he see fit. You know what I mean? It ain't really shit outside. You know, he done got all the whoopings. He done got the punishment. He done did it. He done, you know, did everything as a child you could do to him. So now he gonna have to go through it. He gonna have to go through it and get through it. And ain't nothing me, his mama, or nobody else gonna be able to say about it, man.
King Harris's world just took a brutal turn. Tiny has reportedly hit T.I. with divorce papers, and the timing couldn't be more explosive. Sources say she reached her breaking point after T.I. appeared to completely distance himself from King in the wake of his arrest. Now, the Harris household is on the verge of collapse, with emotions running high and blame being thrown in every direction. Fans are asking the hard questions. Did T.I. and Tiny create this storm by spoiling King with everything money could buy? Or is King himself at fault for tossing away his privilege in pursuit of a street life image? What shocked fans the most is T.I.'s response, or rather, his lack of one. He hasn't fought for his marriage, hasn't tried to mend the cracks, and has met the situation with cold silence. For a couple who endured decades of scandals, reality TV chaos, and endless rumors, this silence feels like the final straw. The drama came to a head in October 2024, that night. King's reckless behavior caught up with him. Behind the wheel of his flashy BMW, he tore out of a gas station and nearly collided with a police car. Officers pulled him over, and what happened next sent everything spiraling. The smell of marijuana hit them instantly. Then, in plain sight, they noticed a gun tucked into King's waistband. At that moment, it was over. Police confiscated the weapon, slapped on the cuffs, and ran his name. What they discovered confirmed it. King was in serious trouble, and the fallout has since ripped his family apart. But what came next left everyone stunned. When police ran King's name, they uncovered an outstanding warrant from way back in 2022. A list of charges that read like a greatest hits of bad decisions: speeding, driving on a suspended license, and even a DUI. It was like his past came crashing back all at once. Sealing his fate that night died if King had just kept his cool. He might have avoided adding another scar to his record. But instead, every mistake he'd ever made came flooding back like a tidal wave. And once the arrest footage leaked online, the internet wasted no time tearing him apart. The most shocking part of that 30-minute video wasn't his usual loudmouth antics. It was the silence. For the first time, you could actually see regret in King's eyes. The same kid who built a reputation off chaos suddenly looked like he knew he'd gone too far. Instead of snapping off, he stayed calm, almost like he realized the only way out was to cooperate. Even the cops seemed surprised at how collected he was. But let's be real, staying calm didn't save him. King was still booked into DeKalb County Jail, then later transferred to Pickens County once that old warrant caught up with him. And when the video hit social media, fans showed no mercy. One commenter roasted him as a trust fund prison punk, racking up thousands of likes. Another cut deeper, saying King wanted to act like he came from the struggle while hiding behind his parents. Money, a shot straight at his carefully crafted street image. And the fallout didn't stop with King. It ripped straight through his parents' marriage. Every crack that had been building for years finally split wide open. T.I. tried to play the role of the heartbroken father watching his son spiral, but Tiny wasn't having it. In her divorce filings, she reportedly pointed to King's downfall as the breaking point that ended their decades-long relationshipy, and maybe the coldest twist of all. T.I. didn't even fight back. No begging, no arguing, he just brushed it off like he'd already washed his hands of King's chaos. In his mind, he'd done everything a father could do. Now it was on King to face the consequences. As harsh as it sounded. T.I. had seen this train wreck coming from miles away. Back in 2022, when King first started making headlines with his reckless antics, T.I. went online practically pleading with his son to slow down. He warned him clear as day, "Keep this up and you're gonna end up in jail." He even admitted he'd been sounding the alarm to Tiny and King's grandmother, telling them the exact same thing. And perhaps the coldest part of it all, T.I. didn't put up a fight. No pleas, no arguments, he simply shrugged it off, as if he had already washed his hands of King's chaos. In his eyes, he had done everything a father could, and now it was King's turn to face the fallout. As harsh as it sounded, T.I. had seen this disaster coming from a mile away. Back in 2022, when King's reckless behavior first grabbed headlines, T.I. went online practically begging his son to slow down. He warned him straight up, "Keep this up and you're gonna end up in jail." He even confided that he had been raising the alarm with Tiny and King's grandmother, spelling it out exactly as he saw it, a train wreck waiting to happen, believe it or not. It only took that pickle incident to push King over the edge. He erupted into a full-blown screaming match with the Waffle House employee and, naturally, made sure to record every chaotic second, posting it all over social media. But instead of coming across as tough or street, the clip completely backfired. Fans and followers weren't impressed. They just saw a spoiled kid throwing a childish tantrum. When T.I. later posted that video warning King about his reckless behavior, Tiny went off. To her, all the lectures should have come years ago, not after their son had already humiliated himself in front of the world. Things cooled down briefly, but T.I.'s disappointment in King never truly faded. That frustration finally erupted during a heated moment at an Atlanta Falcons game. King had been claiming he didn't grow up privileged, trying to frame himself as someone who came from struggle. That was the last straw. T.I. stepped in immediately, shutting down the narrative and reminding King that he literally grew up with everything handed to him. King wasn't having it. Before anyone could react, father and son were trading blows right there in public. Within hours, the video of the fight exploded online, amassing thousands of views. People were shocked at how brutal it looked. T.I. wasn't holding back, almost seeming to forget he was swinging at his own son. Fans on social media lit up the comments, with many actually praising T.I. for finally putting King in check. One wrote, "He should have busted his behind years ago. That's an overdue library book right there." Another chimed in, "If you don't check your kid early, they'll turn on you later." Others simply commented, "King's been out of control. Pray for that family." But not everyone was applauding. Tiny, for one, was furious. She hated that T.I. let things escalate so far and publicly humiliated their son in front of the world. When she came home to discover that T.I. had actually kicked King out to fend for himself, that was the breaking point. In her eyes, he had gone too far. That decision cracked their marriage wide open and ultimately pushed her to cut T.I. off for good. Tiny's divorce papers dropped more bombs, highlighting T.I.'s history of cheating and violent behavior. For years, she had watched him betray their marriage, only for him to return with the same worn-out promises of change. But those lies had piled up, heavier than ever, by the time King spiraled into his own chaos. Tiny wasn't just angry at her son, she was staring at the man who raised him, realizing the cycle had never been broken. What finally shattered her was the gut-wrenching truth: King wasn't even carving his own path. He was retracing his father's steps, mimicking the same jailhouse persona that had once defined T.I.'s so-called tough guy reputation. That realization sealed Tiny's decision. She was done once and for all. And perhaps the coldest part of it all, T.I. didn't put up a fight. No pleas, no arguments, he simply shrugged it off, as if he had already washed his hands of King's chaos. In his eyes, he had done everything a father could, and now it was King's turn to face the fallout. As harsh as it sounded, T.I. had seen this disaster coming from a mile away. Back in 2022, when King's reckless behavior first grabbed headlines, T.I. went online practically begging his son to slow down. He warned him straight up, "Keep this up and you're gonna end up in jail." He even confided that he had been raising the alarm with Tiny and King's grandmother, spelling it out exactly as he saw it, a train wreck waiting to happen, and the internet instantly started questioning, why had he ever let his son run so wild in the first place? It was like watching history repeat itself, only this time the cost was her own child. When T.I. coldly disowned King after his arrest, Tiny finally snapped. He wasn't just turning his back on his son, he was rejecting his own reflection. King's desperate need for his father's approval has been on full display for years. Just look at how he constantly flexes his guns online, treating them like his favorite accessory. After the arrest footage went viral, speculation ran wild. Some claimed King staged trouble to pad his jail time and earn street credibility. Others said he had finally proven himself rugged, earning the title he'd been chasing for years. But the most likely explanation? King was pulling stunts to demand attention and respect from his dad. And, at least for a moment, it worked. Remember when T.I. and Boosie had to step in and check their sons on camera? That scene was proof of just how far King would go to seek validation from the one person. Who mattered most, King and Boosie's son, Tootie Raw, were supposed to be filming a music video. But instead of focusing on the music, they were busy flaunting their guns like they were running a trap house. That's when their dad stepped in. And you could hear the frustration in T.I.'s voice as he called King out. T.I. demanded to know why his son was more concerned with looking tough than actually enjoying himself, especially with girl. What was supposed to be a fun music video shoot quickly turned into a full-blown lecture, with T.I. calling King out for chasing the wrong image. Yet again, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. One slip with those guns, one wrong move, and they could end up in serious legal trouble. In an instant, both King and Tootie's lives could be destroyed. Boosie wasn't joking either. You could feel the weight in their voices as they tried to drill some sense into their sons. On the surface, it looked like T.I. was finally stepping up, trying to show King that the path he was chasing was nothing but a one-way ticket to jail. But when Tiny found out what happened, she wasn't applauding. She was furious. Not because she condoned King flexing guns or acting like he was straight out the trap. She was angry because T.I. was too late. King was just repeating the same reckless behaviors he had grown up watching from his father. What really pushed Tiny over the edge wasn't the guns or the lectures. It was the baby mama drama. When T.I. proudly announced on a podcast that he was about to become a grandfather again. Because King had a baby on the way, Tiny nearly lost it. To her, it sounded like T.I. was hyping up King's reckless behavior instead of calling it what it really was, a messy situation spiraling completely out of control. And messy it certainly was. Rumors swirled endlessly about King's baby mama, Big Nana. Online whispers claimed she was much older than him, and some even suggested she was only with King for the money, knowing he was too young and naive to see it. But King didn't care. He was hyped, bragging nonstop about stepping into fatherhood. When King's son finally arrived in November 2024, he was glowing like never before. Social media flooded with posts proudly announcing his new role as a dad. He even dropped a track, Dear Son, rapping about stepping up and captioning it with the exact moment his boy was born, November 5th. 8:09 a.m. welcome. King Jr., time to take over for a brief moment. It seemed fatherhood might have calmed him. Tiny wanted to believe this was his turning point, that maybe, finally, the responsibility of a newborn would teach him the discipline years of warnings never could. But the calm didn't last. Within weeks, King was back online, stirring chaos. Instagram Lives became stages for arguments with trolls flashing cash and showing off weapons like he hadn't learned a thing. Fans began questioning whether Dear Son was just a front, a way to appear grown while he remained addicted to clout. Criticism only fueled his fire. Any suggestion to focus on his child was met with lashing out, calling people haters, accusing them of jealousy. Behind the scenes, priorities were clear. King was spending more time chasing attention than actually being a father. Even Tiny had to admit he wasn't slowing down. He was doubling down. Rumors swirled that King barely spent time with his newborn, hopping from party to party while leaving most responsibilities to Big Nana. Speculation about her motives only made things messier. It seemed she was carrying the real weight. While King chased online validation. The situation grew so tense that even T.I. tried stepping in, warning King that fatherhood wasn't a game. By then, King wasn't listening. Every viral moment fueled his addiction to attention, even as it tarnished his name. What shocked people most was how quickly his role as a young father became just another headline in the Harris family saga. Instead of a blessing, it was another reminder of how broken things had become. Tiny saw a small silver lining. At least King was trying to be present, correcting the mistakes T.I. had made when King was a baby. But the timing was twisted. While proudly posting about fatherhood, his arrest video was circulating online, reminding everyone that he was still deep in legal trouble. T.I. tried to stay supportive, but cracks in his patience were visible. That disappointment leaked out, and for Tiny, it was unforgivable. She had overlooked cheating rumors, violent outbursts, even T.I.'s cold way of handling King before. But now, seeing him so ashamed of his own son that he couldn't even share a roof with him, it was a line she couldn't forgive. That was the breaking point, the moment that completely shattered her trust, her marriage, and her willingness to defend him publicly. So, when the divorce papers finally hit the table, nobody in their circle was surprised. To outsiders, it may have seemed sudden, but anyone paying attention could see this family had been teetering on the edge for years. Tiny was done covering for him, done excusing his behavior, and done trying to hold together a marriage that had already crumbled behind closed doors. Now, the big question: what happens next? T.I. built his reputation as a leader, a businessman, and a family man. But if he stays quiet the way he did when King's chaos exploded, the Harris legacy could already be in jeopardy. The internet is watching. Fans are waiting. Every move he makes from here on out will determine whether he rebuilds or lets the empire fall apart completely. That's all I've got on this messy saga. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more explosive stories like this. And don't go anywhere. The next video on your screen is packed with even more wild celebrity drama you won't want to miss. See you there!